This Driving in the South is brought to you by
Toyota 4Runner TRD off-road packages. Just joking.
Just kidding, but it could be if you want to send us one. We gotta get some air.
Hey, let me tell you something. Everybody's always about the, oh yeah, Toyotas, check them out, TRD. Let me tell you something. This is a SR5. This is a sport edition, so I don't need to try to put on all the aftermarket TRD business on my car. She come from the factory souped up already. And at this point, 23 years later, I don't think it matters. All the excitement, all the sport is wore off.
And if you watch to the end of this video, you will get to see the underneath of this car. Katie made a joke on one of the last videos we did about who wants to see the new coil springs underneath her car, and there were a great many of you that commented that you did want to see that.
Which is just hilarious.
It is. It's very hilarious. But if you watch, to the end, you will get to see the underneath of this car.
Dang, I'm telling you, sometimes this thing rides like a wagon. You hit one pothole and it's just, you could hit Mom's car with that and nothing would happen, but golly, you about to lose control of this.
Alright, on to...
Sorry, yeah, I will crawl up under there. It's not very exciting, but...
On to today's video. Someone commented that they would like to hear about places that we have traveled, so thank you for that comment. And we're going to talk about places that we have traveled and maybe some places we would like to travel. We may have talked a little bit about our traveling up north that we did on the channel before, but I don't really remember. So we're going to talk about it again. So I'll go first. Places that I've traveled. Honestly, not incredibly far. Obviously, I have been to Georgia many times. I used to work in Georgia. But been all over Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky. Been to Gilbertsville, Kentucky, Berea, Kentucky, several times. Those are beautiful areas there in Kentucky. Comment below if you're from Kentucky. I know we have some Kentucky viewers.
Dude, I don't remember Gilbertsville. Is that where Kentucky Dam Lake's at?
That's where Kentucky Dam Lake is at.
How did I forget the name of that place?
Johnson City, Tennessee, of course. We've never actually been to Nashville though. That's still on my list. Obviously been all over North Carolina, been to the coast of North Carolina, South Carolina.
I've been to Florida. Yeah. Been to Florida. And I've also been to Alabama.
I've been to Birmingham, Bessemer, Hoover area, Alabama, but never been to Florida.
We actually just drove through Alabama and stopped way yonder down on the Alabama-Florida line, so you really can't say I spent a lot of time in Alabama, but I did stop there once, so that counts.
I will say this about Alabama. There's a restaurant, and I guess it's more Bessemer, called the Morning Star. Comment below if you have ate at that restaurant. Not only was it delicious, but the inside of that restaurant is beautiful. It's really old. It's a really neat restaurant. Other places besides up north.
Like pretty much nowhere.
Pretty much nowhere. So we did go to Michigan and, let's talk about that trip first. We went to Michigan in 2018, I guess. We went up to Ann Arbor to see some friends. We flew into Detroit. They drove us, got us, went to Ann Arbor, hung out there. Yeah, about 30 minutes. Hung out there for a week, and that was really fun. And then they actually had a treehouse further north in Harbor Springs, not that far from Traverse City. We actually got to go and see Lake Michigan, and we definitely have pictures of this trip, so we're going to insert some pictures while we're talking about it here. Yeah, snowshoeing was awesome. I tripped on my own feet a lot. Yeah. Let's see, we went to Massachusetts. We actually flew into Connecticut because we were in Western Mass, so it was closer to fly to Hartford than it was to Boston because of where we were going in the state of Massachusetts. So we went there. We actually went to Vermont while we were there. Vermont is one of the prettiest places I've ever seen. It's a little bitty state. You can drive the whole thing in like 4 hours, really. Let's see, that's pretty much the extent of it. I never went to Virginia or West Virginia. Been to South Carolina lots of times. Been to the coast of South Carolina and North Carolina, and then when I went to Florida, I was in the Panhandle and there on the Gulf, and that was really nice. But y'all, I want to make it out west. I've never been out west, and if I could go one place right now, I'd take it on out west is where I would go. I would love to go out west. We've never been. Now, Michigan arguably is slightly Midwest.
No, not really. That's like totally East Coast.
No, it's not.
Yes,
Comment below. Do you know your
Midwest
geography?
at all.
Yeah, it is. Michigan is not the East Coast. The East Coast is like
Well, I
New
know,
York,
Delaware,
Maine,
and
Delaware, all the
I
way
get
down
that,
that
but I
side.
would not call Michigan. I would call Michigan Northeast.
People call
By
Michigan
far.
sometimes the Midwest. I have heard of it referred to as the
I
Midwest.
would
Comment
call
below.
Iowa Midwest. Most definitely call Iowa Midwest, but whatever. I've never been to Iowa either.
No. Now Austin went to Iowa back in the fall to deer hunt. He said it was really pretty.
I have a good friend from Iowa.
But shout out Seth if you're watching this video.
Yeah, Seth, if you're watching this video, thanks for being my friend and putting up with me. You should hear Seth's accent. I could listen to him talk all day long. We actually were eating the other day, and he was like, we were talking about that, and I said, you know something, Seth? You can't hear your own accent. You know what you sound like based on, what other people's point of view, because you only hear your own self-talk. And I said sometimes when I watch videos back of myself, I think I sound like an uneducated idiot. But I'm like, I'm actually not uneducated. I have a degree, which I wouldn't necessarily call that in terms of education, but whatever. Anyway, he was like, well, when I hear myself talk, I think I sound like a dumb schmuck, is what he said. And he said, everywhere I go, I tell people I'm just a dumb schmuck from Iowa. And I said, I think you sound fine, because he does have that Midwest accent. And it's really fun to listen to because that's different than anything that I ever hear. So everybody sounds different. But when we went up north, everybody had a northern accent. And the further south you go, the further my accent intensifies. So, but it's pretty cool. I mean, I would definitely go out west if I could.
Everybody, when we went up north, kind of not laughed, but noticed our accents and were like, yeah, laughed with us. Right. That was a really neat place to be up north. Things were definitely a lot different. It's not like we've mentioned before down here in the south where you wave and say hello to everyone. Maybe even some animals that you see, and it's not like that up there at all.
Yeah, no, you don't just talk to people. Like, I just wave at everybody. I talk to everybody. It's that kind of thing when you're on the road. You're like, I just waved at this lady in this truck and I don't know her. But it's just that kind of thing. Especially people who drive Toyotas wave at other people who drive Toyotas, which that could just be in my head. It could not be a thing, but that's not how it is up north. And I don't know how it is out west because I've never been, but
no.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'll just leave the car running. Just gotta mail a few things.
One of our many trips to the post office. While Katie's in the post office, I'll share some of my maybe favorite things about traveling. When we got to go up north, it was so pretty, and like Katie said, going up through Vermont. So we were in Vermont maybe about April, and we drove from Montague Center, Massachusetts, which is a tiny little place, and we drove to Montpelier, the state capital of Vermont, and it only took a couple hours. And I remember going up the road, and there was snow banked on both sides of the road still, and it was April. So like we left here where we live, it being maybe 60 degrees outside, and went to where it was, I don't know, 30 degrees, and that was really strange. It was a really pretty place. We were really close to New Hampshire. We could see kind of across the river into New Hampshire, but we never got to actually go to New Hampshire. Where we were at in Massachusetts, in Montague Center, was a really sweet little place. I remember there was this bookstore, and I still have a shirt from there that said, books you don't need in a place that you can't find. And I thought that was really fun. And when we were in Massachusetts, we were visiting our friend David, which if you've been on the channel, you've heard us talk about him a lot. And it was really nice to get to kind of visit him and see where he lived, because he had wanted us to do that for quite some time, and we're grateful that we got to do that before he passed away. It was also really neat in our travels to get to see the kind of tunes that people played. So that was the main reason really why we traveled north both times, was to play music, to visit with David as well on both trips. And it was neat to kind of compare tunes, and a lot of the tunes that we knew were some of the ones that they played, because we had such an influence from David and his music. So that was kind of neat. I feel like we weren't just newbies going into the music scene, because we had already kind of been exposed to New England music through David. One thing I remember for sure about Vermont and Massachusetts as well was the roads were not super great. Just from where the road freezes and then thaws, it creates like so many potholes and all that. I just remember like driving through downtown Montpelier, and I was like, how do people do this? You just go off in a hole on the pavement there. And it was definitely interesting the way kind of the cities were, at least where we were at. It was not kind of sprawling hillsides like it is here with just residential areas. It was more like not suburbs. I mean, it wasn't like suburbs of Atlanta. That when I think suburbs, that's what I think of. It wasn't like that. It was like these tall townhouses, like, and they were old. I remember we stayed with his friend, and the house was like 4 stories. Like, it was way taller than it was wide, if that makes sense. And with all the ice and the snow, just trying to get, honestly, out the door to the sidewalk into your car and then try to get the ice off your car and get it defrosted was kind of an ordeal for sure. I don't know that I could ever get used to that. But when we went to Michigan, that was the first time we had actually traveled away from home, and we left here on...
Whoa,
what's happening right here?
We're having a Nerf gun fight at the store.
I see a Nerf gun fight
on the highway.
Okay. Anyways, when we went to Michigan, that was like the first time we had ever been that far away from home, and it was kind of the same way, like just very different the way it was laid out, and like it wasn't suburbs, it was like, I don't know how to explain it, like townhouses, but there'd just be road after road of houses, but they were like really nice old townhouses. It wasn't like the big brick 3-story houses of the suburbs in Atlanta.
It wasn't suburbs, it was like blocks.
Yeah, it was blocks, like all the houses were on blocks, and
it was just block after block of houses. When there might be just like 2 blocks worth maybe in town, but for the most part this is a rural place, so it's all ranch style homes.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of, instead of all on the same residential street, you see a lot of private driveways, private, off the state road. So there's just, as you're driving through the country, there's just bunches and bunches of roads off to the right, off to the left, that go to different people's houses and things like that. But up there, it was just like, and I'm sure there was some of that up there too, but we weren't
just
there.
not where
I
we
just
were at.
only saw kind of more of the city, which is set up in a block system, and shared wells and city water and all that kind of stuff, which is interesting because it is a lot different from.
It is a lot different, and it was a pretty place. Ann Arbor was a big place. It was
beautiful.
Big place compared to where we're from. But I enjoyed that whole trip, and then we were also in the, how do you say it, Ypsilanti area?
Ypsilanti.
Yeah. Is it Ypsilanti? I thought the Y is silent. Or is it Ypsilanti?
Whatever.
That was really neat. That took me a long time to be able to pronounce that.
That place was beautiful.
It was. The whole trip, honestly, both trips were a lot of fun. What were some of your favorite parts about both trips?
Well, one of my favorite things about Michigan was, of course, seeing Lake Michigan, because if I lived around Lake Michigan, the supply of rocks that I could collect from Lake Michigan would be all I ever needed. I mean, there's just a beautiful, beautiful variety of rocks there. I always wanted to see Lake Superior, and maybe one day I will see Lake Superior. I was very close. I was only about 50 miles away that time. But I think one of my favorite things about Michigan is the winter time is usually really cold. Of course, it is in Michigan. It can be really cold here, but there's something that's so incredibly cozy about sitting around a fire and bundling up and being warm in the winter, and being somewhere that it was that cold in the winter. I've never been somewhere that winter's that hard and that cold. It give kind of sitting around the fire and cozy and fireplaces a whole new level of meaning. It just kind of made it that much extra cozy and nice, and you realize why you want to drink hot tea and hot chocolate all the time, because it's so cold up there. For someone like me, I'm not used to it. I don't weather that. I weather winters here in the summer, or in the south, and it's like summer here all the time. It's 60 degrees today in February, and I'm wearing short sleeves and sandals, and I could wear shorts really, and it wouldn't bother me. So I enjoyed that coziness because it was something totally different. I slept really good when I was up there because it was cold out and I bundled up. That was nice. I enjoyed the people because it's just, everything's just completely different. The people were really nice, but their customs and their traditions were really a lot different from what we do down here. So I enjoyed getting to be a part of that, and I really liked Vermont. It was one of the prettiest little places I've ever seen. And it was a real joy to get to be there and meet new people and hang out and make connections and play music. And as far as the rest of the places, I mean, you can't not love Florida. That place is beautiful. You cannot not love the Gulf Coast. It's just pretty. And that's probably one of the funnest beaches. Panama City Beach is very crowded most of the year. And it's just a lot of fun because the Atlantic you can't see through the Atlantic, and it's somewhat rough all times of the year. Not terribly rough, although it can be, but the Gulf at certain times of day, when I was down there, it was like bathwater.
It was hot, it was see-through, it was gentle. There wasn't not even one white cap. You could turn your back to the open ocean and not fear being mowed down and drowned. You know, it was just a really nice time. I love South Carolina too, but I will tell you something. If you're not used to that, it's an oppressive kind of heat.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm not. I'm used to wind and breezes, and they ain't no wind and they ain't no breeze down there. And it's the first little bit I get down there, I find myself thinking, almost panicked, like, what am I gonna do? I gotta get out of here because the heat is so stifling. But then after a day or two, it's fine. Mostly, I just enjoy getting to see new things, new places, and enjoy getting to meet the people there. And it's a true blessing to get to be able to travel and have people that want to travel with you because they like you and they're nice to you. So,
lastly, before we end the video, places that we would like to travel someday. Do you want to go, Katie?
I'd like to go out west, like I said, and see some of the desert, like Nevada, places like that. I'd like to go more Midwest and hit like Kansas and Oklahoma so I could think about some of the westerns that I've watched with Granny and Pap. Other than traveling out west, you know, to be 100% honest, they ain't a whole lot of things that I just am dying to see. I love where I'm at. I always said if I took a week off to go travel, I wouldn't travel. I'd put a backpack on and I'd go up into the woods behind my house and spend the time I wish I had to spend there. Because I love Brasstown and I love where I live. So, for the most part, I don't have a hankering to travel. And I've never really had a hankering to travel outside of the United States. I don't do planes very well. I don't want to be on one going over the ocean. It's just not my thing. I might want to see the West Coast, like Oregon and Washington State and that kind of thing. But for the most part, I do plenty of traveling from here to the post office, and that's good enough for me.
I mean, I'll say I'm definitely not a travel person either. I'm a homebody. You know that about us if you've been on the channel for any length of time. Places that I would like to travel though, like even if money and time and my travel anxiety were not a thing, the places that I would still like to go, I want to go to Florida at some point. I want to go down towards I just forgot the name of it.
I want to go to LaGrange so I can listen to the song.
Katie wants to go to LaGrange to see our friend Chris. Shout out to Chris if you're watching this.
Dude, shout out Chris. I'm coming for you. And I'm bringing my friends Donna and Michael Madlock.
Yes. I would like to go to, where's the area? I've already forgot the name of it, so you may have to comment below what the name of this is. But it's down around the Florida-Alabama line. And there's a beach there. There's several beaches there.
It's like Destin, places like that.
I don't know if it's close to that or not, but Austin and I were looking at that someday, maybe as a honeymoon spot. But I would like to go there. I want to go to Maine. I want to go to one of the beaches that are like a big rocky, like cliff type beach. I think that would be awesome. One day, maybe leaving the country to go somewhere like Ireland or Scotland would be beautiful, but I don't know if I can ride a plane for that long, and I'm definitely not gonna get on no boat. Forget that.
Yeah, no way. I'm not doing the plane for that long.
Trying to think, definitely out west. I'd love to go to Montana. I'd like to go to Texas. I'd like to go to Arizona. Yeah, Texas for sure. Love Texas. Would like to go there. There's so many places just within the United States that would be nice to go.
If nothing messes up my plans, me and Donna and Michael have some plans, and they think they're going to go across the country, and they think it's going to be fun to take me. They got another thing coming.
We all pile in their bus and go rock hunting for 2 weeks.
And I know they would let us. So if you're watching this, Donna and Michael, I am going to get on that bus, and I promise I will behave, and we'll have a good time. I promise.
Comment below and let us know places that you've traveled, some of your favorite places, places that you want to travel. That turkey is running so fast.
There's a whole bunch of turkeys out there.
Lots of turkeys over there. But comment below and let us know. We read the comments and we'd like to know where you'd like to go or where you have been. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed some of our stories about traveling. We've definitely got a lot more, so we'll have to do another video like this. Continue to comment below and let us know what kind of topics you would like us to talk about on these Driving in the South videos. But other than that, thank you for watching. God bless you, and we'll catch you at the next video. Bye. Okay, so I'm gonna crawl under the car for everyone who wanted to see my new cool springs. I'm gonna get up under there so you can see them. It's not as exciting as what you may think, and of course the underside of my vehicle is dirty, but let's do this. Basically, there they are. They look good. There's my brake line, I guess, but they look pretty good. That shock's relatively new. The exhaust is new. That's
my muffler there. I'll show you the exhaust. The exhaust looks good. There's my exhaust. Yeah, that is the underside of my car, and it doesn't look half bad if you ask me. You can kind of see another view there, and you can see the other part of those cool springs. So that's that. That is that, and yeah, I hope that was fun.